Welcome to the Changing Times, Changing World show, Otherworldly. I am your host, Chipicon, and our guest tonight is Vicky McGrath, who is going to be talking to us. She's actually quite, she's got a lot of things going on. She's, where's, I have it written down. Yes, she's channel, psychic, telepath, certified life purpose medium, 25-year Reiki practitioner, and she's founder of Vicky McGrath Spiritual Arts. So you can find that on Facebook. And she wants to empower us, give us get people to do these things for themselves. So that's pretty good. And she does teaching, speaking, and reading. Tonight we're going to talk spirit guides in their many forms. So welcome, Vicky. And people will probably keep coming in for a while.
That's perfect.
But it is Thanksgiving Eve.
I know. So, I didn't realize that when I chose the date. See, that's just because I'm Canadian. So I didn't think of put two together. So I'm just very appreciative of anybody giving up their New Year's or Thanksgiving Eve to come and hear me.
They also call it Taiwan On Day.
Taiwan on Eve.
It's referring to tying your aprons on because everybody's doing it.
Oh, okay.
It's also because a lot of relatives get through, and this is the night where they just have a beer with their relatives and stuff.
Yes. I've been hearing about all the travel that's been happening in the US. So anyway, as I say, I do appreciate everybody for being here tonight, and thank you for taking the time out of your obvious Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody as well. And thank you for having me on the show tonight.
I'm psyched. So this is going to be good. So I bet you've talked to people about this before. So let me stand out of the way for a minute and let you do the introduction to the subject, and then we'll go from there.
Sure, absolutely. Well, why don't I just tell you a little bit about me to start with. So my name is Vicky McGrath. I'm the founder of Vicky McGrath Spiritual Arts. And as was already said, I offer online mediumship classes and readings for people all over the world. I do most of my readings and classes virtually. And I'm also a channel for multi-dimensional beings, including the angelic and elemental realms. I've appeared on podcasts and YouTube and spoken at conferences, and I hope to continue to travel the world to help people realize their spiritual gifts and connect with the spirit world. And I want you to know that my spiritual awakening has actually been very recently. And if it's all right with you, I'll tell you a little bit about how that happened. And I like to tell this story because I think it helps people to understand that you don't have to have, a lifetime of experience to have these gifts. And I feel like everyone has them. So it started for me in early 2020, I was feeling extremely low. I was suffering from a lot of anxiety and depression and a very negative mindset. And it was a cycle for me to experience anxiety and depression during the winter. I have a family, including a wonderful daughter I adore, and a business and hobbies. And yet each winter I would suffer through this cycle. And at the time, I was driving one day, and I recognized that each time I got into my car to drive somewhere, I felt this intense sadness and began to cry, even if I was feeling neutral prior to getting into the car. And this made me wonder, was this a self-perpetuated cycle I was creating for myself unknowingly? So I decided to look into developing a positive mindset. I started with that. So I began reading a book that I already had, Train Your Brain by Dana Wilde. And I started to listening to Dana Wilde's podcast, The Mind Aware. And I began to recognize the cycle I was creating was in my own mind. And Train Your Brain outlines how the brain, particularly the reticular activating system, I'll call it the RAS, in your brain is like a little matchmaker looking for things in the outside world to match up the things that are going on in your mind. So essentially, the RAS is creating a loop of sameness. So if you're feeling anxiety and depression and thinking to yourself, I feel so depressed, I feel so sad, I feel so bad, I hate winter, which is what I was always thinking. Winter makes me feel so bad. The RAS is looking around outside to match those thoughts and add to the burden of proof that indeed things are terrible. And so this was what was happening to me every time I got into the car. And so the book, Train Your Brain, shows you that the cycle, it can be broken just by first noticing that, like coming aware of how your brain is working. And I found the cycle every time I'm getting in my car, my brain says, oh, this means you feel bad. So here are some feelings to support your thinking. And then, the bad feelings would come on. So after noticing, I began to take steps to kind of interrupt that cycle. And at first, the goal is just simply relief. So just relief. So, implanting some soothing, more positive thoughts to interrupt the pattern. So, thoughts of, I have felt depressed before, but now I know I can feel better just by thinking positive thoughts, or ever since listening to Dana Wilde, I notice I'm starting to feel better. So from the soothing thoughts, you can add more positive thoughts. Things usually work out for me. Things are working out for me. Everything is okay. Building the positive thoughts gently, over time helped me to kind of lift out of my anxiety and depression. And I started to feel better. And then once I started to feel better by implanting these positive thoughts to replace the negative thoughts, I actually started to get some good ideas, insights. I felt motivated and interested in my life. And so, what I learned was that this cycle was actually self-perpetuated, even though I didn't know that that's what was happening. My mind was just going through this, loop of perpetual sameness, and I didn't know how to change it. So once I learned that, how to break away from the old habitual patterns, and create new patterns, I started to feel happier, and all of these opportunities started to pop up in my life. And in December of 2020, I was looking for fun things to do, still things to keep me, moving forward with positive momentum. So I joined a Facebook 5-day free summit called Practical Magic. I thought it would be fun and continue to help raise my feelings of positivity. And it was during that 5-day free summit, I had a total spontaneous spiritual awakening. And the things that I learned on that summit were mind-blowing, to say the least. I suddenly realized I had psychic gifts. I realized other people lived this way every day. They were guided by their intuition. There were people on the summit who were starseeds and galactic shamans and walk-ins and channels. And just so much blew my mind wide open. And so that's how I began to explore this journey for myself, this spiritual awakening. I began to explore and research everything and anything, and I bought readings and classes and everything. So when I came to recognize after the summit that I have actually had intuition my entire life without knowing it, but I guess it was just buried underneath all of the, the life that I had been living. So I knew once I had that awakening that I saw pictures, I got intuitive downloads, insights that just came to me without anyone telling me, or educational knowledge. Things just dropped into my mind. I would get full, complete pictures of an outcome of something. And I had no idea at the time how to convey the information. And I think that's how most people live their lives, and they don't even realize they're being guided by their intuition. So since then, I have learned that I'm a channel to the beings from the elemental realm, the angelic realm, cosmic beings, as well as human beings in the spirit realm. And I've taken classes in mediumship, and that's how I came to be certified as a life purpose medium and as a mediumship teacher. So that's a lot about me and how I came to be where I am. And so I thought today I would love to take you through a process to meet your spirit guide. I would use a couple of visualization processes that you can now use anytime you wish to communicate with your spirit guides going forward. And once you know your spirit guide is there for you, you'll never feel alone. You can call on them anytime for support and guidance. Is there anything you'd like to interject first before I keep going?
I'm just going to say it's quite an achievement to be able to sum up even a couple of years in 5 minutes. So, yeah, I like the interrupting the difficult cycles. I remember I was with a friend once, and she had an accident like I'd had earlier today, and she's like, "Oh well, this is the way the whole day is going to go." And I said, "No, not necessarily. Look at it that you just used up all your bad luck for the day, and the rest of the day is going to be fantastic." And she said, "Oh, I never thought of it that way."
And that's exactly it, right? It only takes someone else to open your eyes to see things that are different, and as soon as that happens, everything else that we held to be true or thought of as the way things are actually can fall away because someone else has a different perspective. It certainly doesn't make someone else's perspective wrong. Right? So
I think most people who come to Otherworldly and Changing Times already are aware that there's a lot of spooky foo stuff going on. And
yes, I would agree. That's true.
Just a little.
Yeah.
But I think the more people you meet, the more open to it you are, the more aware you are of how ubiquitous it is. I really think most people have these experiences, but keep them to themselves because our society is not welcoming.
I would agree.
So,
Yeah.
So what's next on your, what do you need to tell us next?
All right. So I have two visualization processes that I'd like to take you through, if you'll allow me. So first, I would take you through a creative visualization practice just to help you relax and have fun. This is really brief, 2 or 3 minutes. And then after that, I will guide you through a slightly longer visualization practice. And in that practice, we'll meet our spirit guide. And neither of these practices involve any type of techniques, no hypnosis. I have no hypnosis training. They're just visualizations. So there's nothing scary about them at all. It's totally fun. And I thought, so to begin with, we could talk about your spirit guides. So your spirit guides adore you and only want what's best for you. And that, so far to date, has been my experience. I have not ever experienced anything at all scary or negative at all. Even in all of the readings that I've done for people and connecting with their past loved ones, and some of them have had, very traumatic ends, nothing scary has ever happened for me. So I would just want to assure you that won't happen for you either. Your spirit guides would never transmit anything that would be scary or negative. And if this happens for you, I think you can be assured it's your mind reacting with fear and uncertainty. The mind doesn't want to give up control and tries to keep you safe by doing the same things day in and day out. And so when you begin to seek guidance from your spirit guides, your mind will throw up roadblocks to stop you. And this could come in as anxiety, fear, and doubt. So just ignore the roadblocks and simply say, "It's okay, mind. Thank you. I'll be fine." So just a little bit more about how your spirit guide might come through. So spirit guides, I think we've already talked a little bit about this, can come through really as something or someone familiar to you that brings you happiness. Just as an example, my spirit guides are actually from the elemental realm and the angelic realm. So they come through as wizards, fairies, merfolk, Pegasus, angels. So that may not actually be what your guides look like, and they might not look like anything. They might just come in and as light or energy without form. They might just be a feeling, but this is how they present to me because they know that I like fun, magical beings. And so they come through that way for me so that they know that I won't be scared by them. So your guides may also show up as angels, animals, shapes, or light, or they might just be a feeling, but they will feel like something loving and joyful for you that you know, and it's all totally unique to each other. So for this first visualization practice, I will guide you through my bubble visualization. And this is the creative practice, and visualizing opens the creative pathways in the brain and helps you to override that left brain analysis. So by opening to your creativity, you have a greater chance of sensing the spirit world. And I actually created this visualization practice after I had listened to a practice from Alicia Power. I'm not sure if anybody knows her, but she also channels spirit beings. And she has a wonderful podcast and YouTube channel if you want to hear any more about her. But she does a lot of practices where she introduces you to the beings of light. So is everybody ready to start with the bubble visualization?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So I'll try to keep my lozenge out of my mouth here. Okay, so sit in a comfortable chair, upright, and close your eyes if possible and desirable. Take a few deep breaths and settle into your chair, just allowing the chair to hold you up and support you. Now in front of you, imagine a big pink bubble, about 8 feet in diameter, floating freely. It's a bright, luminous bubblegum pink, shimmering brightly. If you can't visualize the bubble, that's okay. Just imagine and feel what else is going on with the experience. Next, step inside the bubble. Just step right into the middle of it. Don't worry about how to do this. It's nice and bright inside the bubble so you can see clearly. How does it feel as you walk in? Is it soft and springy, or firm and supportive? What does it smell like? Really take a moment and breathe in the scent deeply. Does the scent bring up any memories? What does it look like inside the bubble? Is it soft and fluffy, or fizzy and effervescent? Can you feel the inside of the bubble on your face and skin? How does it taste inside the bubble? Is it sweet, gooey, or champagne-y? How does it sound inside the bubble? Is it crinkly or swooshy? Or does it sound as if a cotton ball were rubbing against your skin? Are you floating freely inside the bubble? Do you feel joy, happiness, and fun like a child? Do you feel excited or energized? Take some time with each of these perceptions. Really relax, breathe deeply, and allow yourself to receive the experience. All right. You can step back outside the bubble now, give it a pat or hug if you like, and thank it for the experience. And now you can open your eyes and take a few deep breaths to complete the experience. So I always like to say, I encourage you to do this visualization every day. If you can, it doesn't matter when, as you get more familiar with it, you can do the experience exercise anywhere to use some of the perceptions to trigger your creativity in a situation where you could use some new ideas or a new perspective. For example, if you're in a meeting or lining up at the grocery store or walking somewhere, imagine you can smell the bubble or feel the bubble on your skin, or imagine you're standing right inside the bubble and feel the joy and happiness and magic anytime you need a boost. Does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to ask me about that? Or if they felt like sharing what they experienced?
Well, I'm pretty sure my brain lives in a different world than yours does.
Your brain?
Yeah. It was not imagery I would have chosen personally.
Okay.
But I went with it. And one of my spirit guides laughed at me about it.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, that was interesting.
Okay. Well, the experience is meant to inspire creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And creativity is how you open to your intuition, because creativity usually feels good. And intuition is, as a world of spirit, requires you to engage your imagination because it's not a physical place or destination. And since we can't point to a single destination or understanding, it's important to realize we're all creating our own experience every moment. So no two people are going to experience the same thing the same way.
After a bit,
So-
I realized that it was rather like the inside of the bubble that Glinda arrived in Oz was.
Mm-hmm.
And Glinda is a particular personal inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have aphantasia, so it's very, very hard for me to see anything. Like my when I close my eyes, it's just internal monologue.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to engage the other senses, right? That's why you engage the sense of taste and touch and scent. That's why it's important to have all of those in your I guess repertoire, so that if many people can visualize, many people just feel energy, and so it's important to have a practice that, while I call it visualization, it's a practice that allows really your senses and perceptions to be engaged. Okay, so if you could see the bubble, for example, this is how you could experience clairvoyance. If you could feel it on your skin, this may be how clairsentience would come through for you. If you could smell it, maybe what clairalience might be like. And if you've tasted, could be how you would perceive clairgustance. And if you had memories from the past associated with the bubble, this is how claircognizance may come through. And so the practice is really about, developing your clairs as well, along with your perceptions. And the clairs are really important. I'm sure you all know this already for receiving information from the spirit world, and your spirit guides will send you information or downloads as an entire block in a way that is entirely unique to you. So if visualization is not your strength, then certainly you receive the information in another way. It's entirely unique to you. I have so far received most of my information first as clairvoyance. So I see something, a complete picture of something in advance of knowing what it is, and claircognizance. So I also get a complete picture or complete download of knowledge of something, circumstances, before I know before I know what's going to happen. So, that's been called precognition, but it's really just a piece of information that my guides are providing to me that they know will be helpful as I'm moving forward and helping me piece something that's coming up in my life together. And I still remember one download very clearly, even though it was over 25 years ago and long before I knew I had any psychic gifts. I received a clairvoyant download that I was going to be a writer. That's it. There was no context, no further details, really, literally just a picture of me standing in front of what I imagine was a studio, and this deep inner knowing, the claircognizance of the message. So I don't, has that happened for any of you where you've just had that, that download from a clair, and you've been able to piece it together later?
I had a
Absolutely,
friend.
absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend once who in church, basically, there was suddenly the roof was suddenly very, very bright. And he heard the voice come above and said, "You are a writer." And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, well, there you go.
Yeah, I got the same message, evidently.
I get large impressions that I don't understand at all until I put them into words. And then suddenly the whole picture becomes clearer and clearer and clearer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the way it is, right? I think it's just, I think that's how we actually all get information that way. We just don't know it. And I certainly didn't know it up until 2020. I had no idea. And yet now, if I look back on my life, I can see how I was clearly guided all my life. I can see that I was, but I was just in a family that had no interest or whatever awareness of that side of this spiritual life at all. So I never knew that any of those things were guiding me.
You need the words.
Yeah.
If you don't have a word for something, you can't wrap your mind around it.
Right.
And if your family doesn't know the words, they won't teach them to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Or if they're just, against that kind of thing all around, right. They don't want to have any knowledge of that kind of thing, which I think was probably the case. My mom was a very Christian lady. And so I think she was just, she just maybe didn't want to know that kind of stuff. So anyway, I can see now that I've had some very clear direction for my life, even though I totally failed to follow it until now. Now I have a blog, and I've drafted a book on intuition. I've drafted children's series books. So I guess I'm making up for last time now. So now I start the writing part of my life, I guess. So if everybody's ready now, I'll just take us through the Meet Your Spirit Guide visualization. And again, I call it a visualization. It's really a practice of developing your senses, your clairs. And so if seeing is not something that comes easy for you, then just use the other clairs or the other perceptions to I guess, get as much information as you can from the experience. So the purpose of this visualization practice is to meet your spirit guide and allow them to provide some information to you on how to move forward on your path. You could think of something now that you would like to have some guidance on, such as how can I move forward on my spiritual path, or how can I move forward in this situation in my life, or can you give me some guidance on which direction to take? So it's always important to have something in your mind when you're going to go in to meet your spirit guide, so that you have a point of connection with them and they can give you some guidance. And I think this is just really kind of at first, it's that evidential piece, so that you have gone in there with an objective or a query, and you can see the evidence as it unfolds later on that your spirit guide was in fact guiding you around this. So once we start the practice, you will begin to sense that you and the spirit world are one, and this is true. We're all energetic beings. We're all energetic expressions of the divine. So we're not separate from the spirit world in any way. Just like as I found as we go through our lives growing up as humans, many of us are taught that it's not normal to talk about the clairs or spirit guides. So we close off to them so that we can fit in with our family and friends. I think that's what happened to me in any event. And the truth is that we've just closed down our abilities to receive the guidance from our spirit guides, but they're always guiding us and have always guided us. So the value of the practice is that you will receive guidance on your query or your question and know how to move forward. Okay, are we ready? Okay, so it's just a short practice. It's probably, not that much longer than the bubble visualization. So we'll just start by taking 2 or 3 deep breaths right into your heart center. Really focusing your attention on your heart. Now imagine your heart center filling up with an emerald green light. And then the light expanding out from your heart beyond your body to encompass and encircle your entire body, about 8 feet in diameter around you. Feel the green bubble of light all around you, like it just popped right out. Next, imagine a pillar of white light streaming straight down from the galaxy into your crown chakra, and then down through all your chakras one by one. Your third eye chakra, throat chakra, heart, solar plexus, sacral, root chakra, straight down into the heart of the planet. Feel yourself really grounded in the emerald bubble and anchored into the center of the planet by the pillar of light. I like to think of this as an olive with a cocktail spear through the center. Feel the pillar of light pulsing down through all of your chakras, and feel the emerald green light pulsing like sonar waves around you. Now, you're tapped into both your own energetic field and the fields of the cosmos and the planet. You are a channel, a conduit between heaven and earth. And now it doesn't matter which direction you're facing. Imagine in front of you is a being of love and light. The being has a light body. It might resemble a human form so that you can recognize it. Or there could just be some form and possibly some detail. If you can't make that out, it doesn't matter. Just imagine and know that it's there in front of you. And now, your spirit guide is in front of you, is talking to you. This is your spirit guide from another dimension. They're connecting with you here in this space. Know, of course, that your spirit guide is always connecting with you, guiding you and supporting you. But at this time, you're making the conscious choice to connect with them. Just allow your spirit guide to talk to you. It doesn't matter if you can't hear what is being said or see clearly. And maybe your conscious mind is telling you there is nothing happening. But just know that the information is being received in a way that will be helpful and meaningful for you. The downloads are being delivered. Now, extend your arms out and embrace your spirit guide in a deep hug. And just allow them to merge into you. Just melt and dissolve into you, and along with them, the knowledge and guidance they have provided for you. After your spirit guide has merged into you, take a few deep breaths and then allow the pillar of light to return up from the planet through your chakras and to the galaxy, and pull the emerald bubble back into your heart center, like you're pulling back a bubble when you blow out a bubble in bubble gum. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and take a few deep breaths to complete the practice. The important thing to realize when you do this practice is that the information you have asked for has been provided. Even if you don't know what was said or what happened with your guide, you may have received something very clear, or you may have no idea what happened at all. Whatever you received was perfect for you. The next steps you could take to continue would be to journal what you received and stay alert for the sparkly breadcrumbs to come along. I call them sparkly breadcrumbs because you will know when you see them that they will lead you to the answers you seek. You may hear a song and receive information from it, or you may meet someone that will give you something you need, or you may find yourself in circumstances that you couldn't have known about that lead you to information you need. So just stay open to the sparkly breadcrumbs, and you'll be amazed at how the information comes together in amazing and wondrous ways. And then you can go back into the practice and ask your guides for the next step anytime you like. How did everyone find that? Did everyone meet their spirit guide?
I'm particularly pleased with the reassurance that even if you don't get it right away, it's in there.
Mhm.
I've had I have what they call trance amnesia. Anytime I do the spirit journey, which if you go to a lot of conferences and of this sort, you do it a lot.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, oh, and I saw this, and I saw, and I did that. It's like, I got nothing. I go straight from the take a deep breath. You are walking along, and now take your another deep breath and open your eyes, and we're back. And it's like, wait, everybody else has got something I haven't. And then somebody explained to me, oh yeah, that's not uncommon. You did it. You went deeply. You just have trance amnesia.
Mhm.
And it's all in there. It's like, really? Okay. Because I was actually crying in was it either Oberonzell or Nivor's arms? Just they were like, no, it's okay. Not uncommon. And so the fact that you including that right there, I find that really very helpful, because especially beginners may have that similar problem.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And your mind could be in fear, like it might not even be something like that. It could just be your mind is in fear. You know, you're fearful. You're not 100% ready for what's going to come through. So you're fearful, and so your mind just stops it. But that doesn't mean that your spirit guide hasn't come through and isn't, connecting with you. And I think your trance amnesia is very interesting, because that, I'm sure you know this already, but of course, in the Seth material, all of Jane Roberts was in trance when all of the Seth transmissions came through. So I don't think that's unusual. I sort of feel like that's part of being a channel. And it's just something happens to your mind, just kind of moves out of the way, right?
Yeah, Kurt Voigt says that sometimes when a spirit comes in, you're like, you're handing you move in the passenger seat and they get the wheel, and sometimes you're in the back seat just observing, and sometimes you're locked in the trunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you have no idea what's going on, and so that's because I like a lot better when you're just watching what's happening. But yeah, I like the Seth material, but very few people seem to remember it anymore.
Well, it's only people like me who are coming to the table so late in the game that are reading it now, because I've never read it before. I never even heard of it before. So there you go.
I'm very, very glad to hear that it's being read now, because it was a treasure to me.
Oh, is that right? Oh, cool.
And then it kind of disappeared from public consciousness. I've been talking about it now and then, and everybody says, "Who? What?" So I'm very, very glad to hear that it's being read again.
Well, I think the Seth was kind of like the first really public example of channeling multidimensional beings. Right now, I think that sort of initial transmission has been usurped by things like Abraham and Esther Hicks, which I think it's delightful what Abraham channels through Esther Hicks, but that is a different set of material that comes through her versus what came through Seth, right? Seth was really trying to guide us as humanity, prepare us for what was coming. And so that's why I find it interesting now, because part of the whole, I think, reason why some of us are becoming spiritually awakened now is because, there's this massive awakening happening within the planet, and the planet needs our help to, raise everybody's vibration. And especially with all of the craziness that's going on in the world, the more of us that can uplift each other, then we can help uplift the rest of humanity and the beings as well. So
I'm extremely glad to hear you saying that. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
good.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, I'm picturing spirits saying, "Wake up," because we have to wake up in order to. I mean, we've been so sleepwalking for so long that now there's 8 billion of us, and it's really hard. We're way behind on slowing climate change and learning to respect each other. Gee, that shouldn't be so hard. It seems to be, but.
Well, I think that, it's just going to be a question of, some people will come along on the awakening journey, and some people will be left behind. And that's just the way, I guess, it'll always be. So, but I hope that, by sharing my messages and ideas and thoughts about things, that I can help, maybe help someone else realize that they have gifts. And that's why I say, I like to empower others, because I really do believe that we are all channels, every single one of us. And it's just everybody's got their own unique gifts. I'd like
to call them talents. Because
talents,
people feel better with talents, and the thing is with a talent is you might have an artistic talent, but you might not have the musical talent.
That's right. Yeah, and that's creative talent, no matter what it is, right?
And then, but you still have to work with it.
Yeah,
it's that Curlman is still doing scales. Is you have to keep working to get it better, no matter which talent you have. And with the channels, we got it's like herbs. They're redundant. Herbs for clearing your chest, and herbs for healing, and herbs for strengthening and cleansing. They're all over the world, and you can probably find some near you. They're very redundant. Okay, fine.
Anyway, I always like to say, as you begin your journey partnering with your spirit guide, you'll begin to recognize when they're communicating with you by the way you feel. So this is part of the process, I think, of uplifting others. Our spirit guides are always trying to uplift us. So if there's a choice to be made in any situation and one feels fun, expansive, and joyful, and the other one doesn't, that's, I think, your spirit guide nudging you to the one that feels better. And then, each time we can just kind of feel better and better. And I have found that spirit guides communicate through feelings and imagination. So to follow, what feels like it's for the highest good, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. And you can always use some help.
And you can always use help. And actually, if it's okay with you, to wrap up my time, I just wanted to offer 3 reasons to continue to try to communicate with your spirit guides so that you have a strong sense of why you should continue with the practices that I shared. The first reason is so that you're never alone. When you're feeling lonely or isolated, anxious, simply reach out to your spirit guide and they will reveal to you that they are always there, waiting for you to call on them, trying to uplift you and make you feel good. And the second reason is for guidance and support when you have a decision to make. Your guides will always support you and offer you the highest and best outcome. And the main focus for your guides is to help you feel good. So with any decision, again, they will point you to the outcome that makes you feel the best. And the third reason is for your own growth and expansion, which is what we were just talking about. So when you work with your spirit guides, they will continually help to unfold your path in the most beneficial way. And you will notice that suddenly you're aware of things that, or know things that you've never noticed or known before. And just as an example of this for me, when I first had my spiritual spontaneous awakening in 2020, my first guide was a Pegasus. And this, of course, mythical multidimensional being unites heaven and earth and deceased. And so this was a foreshadowing, I guess, of the unfoldment of my talents. And the same will happen for you. So when you work with your spirit guides, your clairs will unfold and expand. Your desire for more knowledge and understanding will expand. And you will want to know there are other people who are going through the same thing that you are. So thank you very much.
Well, I see in the chat, we can listen to it again because as some have said, we'll be chopping vegetables while, and in case anybody here doesn't know it, these all get recorded and put on YouTube, so you can go back. And if you prefer being talked through a visualization, Vicky's going to be here forever on YouTube.
Maybe not forever, but
well,
for a while, I hope.
until YouTube goes the way of Twitter, I suppose.
Yes. Well, I think the thing is too, you can just listen, on YouTube as well, right? You don't have to watch. So it's kind of a nice thing.
But you can focus. I used to be better at multitasking, and I really have to pay attention. Either that or I've learned that I have to pay attention and was unaware of it before. I'm not sure which. So, but yeah, it's fun to have these things on YouTube.
Yeah, it's good. It's a nice forum to have, a permanent record, right, of things that you've done. And you can look back at them and say, wow, that was a pretty amazing journey you facilitated, right? You facilitated all of these talks and journeys. So I think it's pretty impressive.
And we do have, how many, just show of hands. Well, I guess we can't show of hands because not many people are on visual tonight, but how many of people have already are aware of spirit guides that they have? Yeah. And the other people are not visual, so they may have their hands up too.
Yeah.
But because there's such a variety. Oh, there goes the Arkansas. Yeah, but and there's such a variety. I have one I've had since I was quite young that I know. I used to call him, get her, the walk behind her, because he had my back the whole time. He was always there, gave me a sense of security, but that's all I could tell. There was, I don't know, in the late 60s, there was a lot of push toward animal guides. And we did a big circle once, there were like 30 of us, and we all went around and everybody said, okay, open up. What's this person? somebody would say, it's a dog, it's an Irish setter, yes. And they went all the way around, and they tried, and they went around, tried all the way. They skipped me because they couldn't get anything, and then they came back to me, and they'd like, and finally somebody said, chocolate bar. And everybody I said, yes, she's a chocolate bar. And then they're all jumping in. Yes, it's a melting chocolate bar with raisins and nuts. And they're all saying, yes, that's her spirit guide. It's like,
I think that must be one of mine too, for sure.
but it's like, okay, I'm a chunky. But
I think that's like a Cadbury's, isn't it? Fruit and nut, Cadbury's fruit and nut, that one.
fruit and nuts.
Possibly. But in the day, it was a candy bar called Chunky, which was a big, thick square
Oh, okay.
with
It was
raisins
really
and
thick.
nuts.
And I haven't seen them in decades, but
Yeah.
but everybody was, they clearly got an animal, and they all seemed to agree on them. And then, but they couldn't get an animal for me. And I've never really had an animal. All of my guides seem to be humanoid.
Yeah. And
Except
that's
for-
fine. That's totally fine.
Except for the chocolate.
It's whatever, it's however they come through for you, is because you are safe with whatever they're coming through as, right? Or you feel safe with that presence or that being or that visual or whatever it is, right? That feeling, that sense.
Well, part of my role, I think, is to let the rest of the world know that even the people that, a lot of people seem to think that I'm all that in a bag of chips. And I just tell them, no, I am just like the rest of you. Now, if you pick through your life and pick the coolest stories, you can, if you 70 years, you can get a half dozen really good stories.
Yep.
John, could you get that? And but no, I am not excited. I just am aware that this stuff is real, and therefore interact with it. So I do healing, I do divination, I do all kinds of stuff, but I think
I describe myself as so new in so many ways. I don't know the terminology. I don't know the cool things like, this spiritual leader or that theory or whatever. But I look at my life, and I've done it all my life, one way or another.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started doing it when I was, still in school, and I would just do it without any training or knowing what I was doing. And yes, I screwed up a lot. And I screwed up so much. But so I think that I like letting people know that it's okay to screw up and then move forward. I think that's important, is to know that we don't all come into it ascended masters or whatever. Sometimes.
Yes, well, I'm
come
certainly
into it as a
testimony to
melting
that.
chocolate bar. Yeah, it's
Well, I thank you very much for having me on the show. And if anyone is interested in learning anything more from me, they can find out more on my website.
I'm having a little problem with my keyboard. If you could put your link, any links you want to share.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can just put it into the chat there. That's a good idea.
Put it in the chat, and anybody who wants to save it, there are 3 little dots over there at the bottom of the chat. And if you click that, you get to save the chat. Yay.
they are
Can I
helpfully
put
in
one
tiny
little
print.
special thanks? Because just the lightheartedness of this is something I really, 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 really needed. I mean, I've
good.
been going at this so seriously lately. So this is really, really thanks for the lightheartedness of the lightweight of it. Thank you.
Well, that's your spirit guides are telling you need to lighten up. See,
Yes.
you need to feel good and not be so serious all the time.
Yes.
Okay, and everybody is going to have to put our healing energy so that she's perfectly healthy, even though you're not having Thanksgiving tomorrow. There's no reason for you not to
She
be
already got her
perfectly happy
Thanksgiving.
tomorrow.
I already
Thank
got her
you.
Thanksgiving.
With 25 years of Reiki, after I got Reiki, I always felt a little guilty when I couldn't heal myself. I was like, wait a minute, why can't I? But
Well, I am almost never sick. I know exactly why I'm sick right now. So I know why it's happened. And I'm almost never sick, and I give myself Reiki every single day. So I attribute it to my feeling youthful and healthy almost all the time, but I guess every once in a while you just pick up a little glitch.
Well, I had a glitch once, speaking of getting sick, when my husband was doing the cancer dance, and he got he was having radiation so that he could have so that he could have a bone marrow transplant.
Mm.
And I really didn't like the chemo and didn't like the radiation. I was trying to be a support. I said, I'll be a supportive, but if I ever get cancer, you have to be supportive to me while I go for the more natural therapies. And then I put it out there. I said, please, universe, help me be as positive and helpful to him as I can be. Please don't let my misgivings about this leak from my energy into his. And I got a cold, first cold I'd had in decades. And I was coughing, and I had a runny nose, and I was, well, of course, if you can't go anywhere near somebody who's got no immune system. And then the day he was done with the radiation, it all went away. And I was doing the Reiki, and I was doing the acupressure, and I was doing the vitamins, and I was doing herbs, and I was doing everything. And then at the end of it all went away. And I said, oh, well, that's the universe taking the course of least resistance. It's like,
Right.
You don't want your energy to be interfering with his energy.
Just
We'll
take it out of the
keep you two
equation.
apart. And it was like, okay, yeah, now I know why I wasn't terribly sick, but I was sick enough to keep us separated. And it was very cool. After the bone marrow transplant, that's something I'd never heard before. He was changing blood types because his sister's was a different blood type than he was.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Your blood is formed in the bone marrow.
Yeah. So they obviously had compatible, but different. Yeah, that's interesting.
because I would have thought that they would have to be the same blood type to be. But anyway, that's just a little bit of tidbit. It has nothing to do with it. But I just thought that
A
was neat.
factoid.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so we have to thank you very much for coming on, and
Really
I hope you have
interesting.
a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for coming.
Everybody have whatever kind of Thanksgiving you want. I mean, personally, and it's food and family. What's better than that?
Enjoy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the visualizations and a lecture.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
coming. I
you.
appreciate it very much.
And so I guess that's it. I guess I will turn off the recording, and when I